Hey guys, and welcome to today's video, which is going to be all about how to actually track your fat loss journey, how to progress. So first off, I want to talk about specifics on food tracking. This is going to be something you want to really think about, and I talked about what kind of deficit to have for cutting in a previous video in this series. So a huge tip on food tracking is definitely get yourself a food tracker and get yourself a food tracker app. I like to use MyNet Diary, but some other people I know prefer MyFitnessPal, but it just depends what kind of thing you're into. So a huge thing that makes a difference in how fast you're progressing in cutting is actually entering in the food correctly. So if you're entering something in as cooked, you want to make sure you're weighing it as cooked. If you're entering it as raw, you want to weigh it as raw, because as you cook foods, the weights can change, and this would be because of the amount of water that is inside them, such as rice. Rice is going to make a big difference if you're weighing it uncooked or cooked, so just make sure that you do that. At the start of your journey, you're going to want to know where you are and have some metrics to know when you're progressing. So there are a few things I like to have and that I've been doing since the start of my fitness journey, which would be measurements. I take measurements around your shoulders. You might want to take one around your chest, about nipple height, and you want to take your measurement as well from around your waist. And for females, that's going to be slightly higher than your belly button to get the narrowest point. And for guys, that's going to be at the belly button area. And also, I like to take a hip measurement. I like to take a thigh measurement as well. I like to put it at the widest point, but just make sure that whatever part you choose to measure at, that you're doing it again the next week. So if you have to take a picture of where you're measuring, then do that if it helps you remember. Take a thigh measurement, take a calf measurement, flex bicep measurement, and even forearm measurements if you want to get really into like small technicalities. So that's one way of measuring. Another way is taking your body weight. You want to do this at the same time on the same day every week, and preferably and ideally you want to do this before you've had any food. So because I don't eat until the evening, intermittent fasting, I like to take mine later on in the day rather than after I just wake up. But if you like to eat earlier in the day, then do that after you've gone to the bathroom. Like, you can probably guess why that's going to have an impact on your weight. Just make sure in the toilet and not on the scale, because that won't help. Yeah. So take your weight every week, and if you're wanting to really make sure that you're getting the correct weight, then try weighing yourself every day, and at the end of the week you take your lowest weight. And this is because there are certain factors that can change how much you weigh. So if you weigh yourself one week and weigh yourself the next week, you might not see a huge drop in weight, or it might go up, and this could be because of like how much you ate the day before, what that food consisted of, the macro ratios of that meal. If you're female, it can be greatly influenced by how far into your lady cycle you are. I don't want to creep out any of my guy viewers, but I don't want to throw that in. Like, girls are going to have it quite tough on the whole tracking weight. And also on the progress pictures as well, that's going to be slightly influenced by the female stuff. So now on to progress pictures. You're going to want to take as many progress pictures as possible. So I do them more frequently because I like to take them once every 2 days or so. It just depends. Like if I think I'm looking leaner when I wake up, I like to get pictures just to see that I'm not imagining in it. It can really help with the whole psychological aspect of it, like dysmorphia is thinking that you're actually not progressing as much as you actually are. So I do that. It keeps my brain like focused. But you'll want to do it once a week, yet again, like on the same day, preferably in the same clothes, with the same kind of lighting setup. And a thing I like to do is I like to change the lighting and move it around just to get as many different angles and lighting shots, and if you want to change location as well, like do them there. It gives you an all-around picture of how your body's changing and how you look in certain environments. So for progress shots, you want to get front, relaxed, side, relaxed, back, relaxed, this side, back to the front. And then you want to do the same, going around like that while flexing, so you can do whatever flexing pose you want. Like try and throw in some triceps, flex anything you've got. Try and flex your abs in some shots, even if you don't have any, because it is really nice going back and seeing old pictures of me trying to flex my abs, but failing because there's body fat covering them, and I just look like I hate everything. It's one of those typical before pictures where you're like, I just hate myself right now. And then more updated shots of me now is like, yeah, this is great. I don't even have to flex. So I also throw in some bicep shots. If you can flex your back when you're facing that way. If you're female, you're going to want to remove all items of clothing on the upper body so you're not obscuring your back. That might be a little bit funny if you've got a camera person taking the pictures, so make sure to rope your boyfriend, girlfriend, or any of those wiggly things into taking a picture, because that'll make it slightly less awkward for you. Making sure you're getting all the flexing shots. So the whole progress pictures are they are one of the most important things to see that you're progressing. Some other metrics you can use would be if you buy some body fat calipers, you can do those. I don't like using them to estimate my body fat percentage because they tend to estimate me at being a lot lower than I am. So what I like to do is I like to use them on certain parts. So I'll take a measurement of like my abs. There's not much to grab anymore, but I would take there, and if I see that going down, then it usually means I'm progressing. You can take your triceps, you can take anywhere. Just remember where you're taking it, and remember roughly how much you're like grabbing, because you can grab too much, grab too little, and not actually be tracking your body fat at all. Like not be pinching the body fat. You might just be pinching more skin. And you're going to want to get that right like the first time, so spend some time practicing gripping and doing that. Look up some videos on how to properly use body fat calipers, because the more you pinch an area, the more water goes to that area, so you end up getting an obscured idea of how much body fat you have there. One of my other favourite ways of tracking is I've got something called a Sculpt Chisel, and it's one of my favourite fitness gadgets. So at the start of my transformation, like my cutting thing, like almost 4 weeks ago now, I took a sculpt measurement to see the quality of my muscles and stuff like that, and my body fat in certain areas. And even though I don't like using that, what's the word? I don't like using that constantly, because it can, your body fat on that can be really changed by if you've dropped a bit of muscle or something, but I do like it on certain areas. Like if you put it on your abs, if you think you've got leaner there, you can compare back to what your abs were like before, your arms, and so that's something I would do an over-round so that's something that I would use as something. So the sculpt is something I like to use like at the start of a journey, and then at the end of whatever portion of the thing that you're doing. So you don't want to use it too close together, or at least I don't. One of my favourite things to do recently, and this is what's kept my head in the game with my whole cutting thing, and I think it's also the reason why I've managed to get out of the fitness rut that I was in and managed to just focus. And it's actually been using my fitness tracker. It's Jawbone, it's an app, and so I've got the app for that on my phone, and you enter in your workouts, you enter in your activity, and it tells you how many steps you've been taking. And the good thing about this is that it tells you how much, like an estimate of how much you've burnt in a day. And the reason I really like that is because I can get very thorough notes. So I enter in to my notes how much I've consumed for that day, and then I put how much I've burned as an estimate, because you can't really have a perfect estimation of what you're actually burning. You just don't know for sure. But I put those two down and I subtract them by each other and get the amount of deficit for that day. And then as the days progress, I can put an overall deficit, because once you know that a pound of fat is roughly 3,500 calories of a deficit, you can start to gauge where you're going to be on your fat loss journey. And it's not perfect science. It just helps me keep focused. And if I have a day where I go slightly over, I take that away from my deficit, like I kind of add. I take that away from my deficit, so I know if I'm going back a little bit, going forward. So on the occasions I do eat a bit more, which does happen. I do maintenance days, or I go slightly over maintenance. Like I'll know roughly where I am, and I'll know that despite the fact I've eaten more, I'm still on that journey to getting to where I want to be, to losing the amount of body fat I want to. So that's been really, really helpful. But if you have a tendency to be very obsessive with numbers and food and tracking things too closely, and doing it in a way that's unhealthy, like trying to only eat like 500 calories a day and you're trying to burn 2,000 or something, then you're just going to fail. You want to, like I said in my deficit video, you want to stick to that deficit. And you don't want to starve yourself to do this. You don't have to starve yourself, and starving yourself is actually counterproductive. You want to be eating a certain level and not be dropping below that if you can. Like try and keep at least your weekly calories to be at the right amount of a deficit. Like you eat too little on one day, you can use those calories the next day and eat a little bit more, but try and keep them as consistently as you want. You can play around, experiment, but in the end it comes down to who you are and how you work. So my kind of approaches might not work. Like you might have to stick to a 100%, like no days where you go over, no days where you like a little bit more junk food, because like I can do that and I can come back and the next day like I move a little more, and or I just accept that for what it is. But not everyone can just move on and accept that. Some people just go a little bit and think the diet's not working, or try and rush things too much, just totally freak. So that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed this, and be sure to like, subscribe and comment. I will be doing more videos soon. I've been getting on a bit of a roll with videos, as you can see. If there's any questions you have about the journey to getting a six-pack, like be sure to let me know, because I do have an extensive list of videos I want to do. So I want to do as many videos as possible, just take away any of the mysteries. There is no big secrets, but I've learned a lot in my fitness journey that I just want to pass on to everyone else, just so they can skip all of the different road bumps I had, so you don't get stuck and not know what to do. I want to just get people there in the fastest way possible while still having it be healthy.